Hey guys, it's Armand with the Post Fight Podcast. Before Trayvon and I get into it with our 20th episode, I just want to apologize for being so late with this upload. We're supposed to have uploaded this February 15th, this Monday. The reason we haven't is because, as some of y'all may know, Trayvon and I reside in Houston, Texas. And as fewer of you probably know, I don't know, it's been on the news. Not just Houston, not just the greater Houston area, but the entire state pretty much as a whole experienced record-setting cold temperatures with unprecedented frigid weather this past week. In fact, we're still experiencing it. It's Thursday, the week's not over. It's still, I think, like 30-something for us, even though that's the higher end. We were in the 10s at some point. You Northerners are laughing at us right now. But with that came an unprecedented load on the power grid. That resulted in a power outage, not just for Houston, not just for the surrounding area, but for at least half, but I think more than half of the state of Texas itself. We lost 4.2 million houses, residents did not have power. Most of them also, or at least a good portion, didn't have water, and it's been kind of difficult for a lot of people because so many of them, their houses, their roofs caved in with pipes exploding. Some old people froze to death or something like that. We had someone, they died nearby, and it's kind of been horrible. 2 a.m. Wednesday morning, my house restored power, thank God, after like 2 days without it, in the 20-degree weather. Trayvon's power came back on a few hours ago, and it looks as though for Houstonians, we're at, as the time of recording, 98 point something, I'll pull that up, percent of the population with power. So we're back. We're way off schedule because of it, but what's going to happen is we're going to upload this episode on Thursday. We're going to upload our watch along tomorrow, Friday, the 19th, if all goes according to plan, and then our monthly special, which we should have uploaded in the middle of the month, will then be uploaded in 1 week from tomorrow. So Friday coming up. Yeah, thank you guys for your patience. We love you as always, and we are headed into the episode, so let's get started. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between. It's Armand again with our 20th episode of the Post Fight Podcast. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Trayvon Kentrell Coker. 2-0 amateur, soon to go pro, and soon to be double champ in the UFC with 10 title defenses in each division. 30-0, absolute savage, Trayvon.
I could not say it better myself, man. I couldn't say it better myself.
Yes,
that's why I love Armand.
Yes, sir. But and I'm just gonna be out here, being me.
Armand's gonna be out here being the excellent person he always is.
Appreciate that.
Just a beautiful human being, which is way more important than anything else you could be in life.
Appreciate that, man. All love. We came out of a kind of a weird card, but that had some fun fights on it. Heartbroken for Burns, happy for Usman. We have a lot to say this week about things that are related to the fights in a bigger picture sense, but not so much technical nuances of the fights themselves, although we will of course delve into those with the main event and some other fights we found interesting. So yeah, we can go. Trayvon, you take us away.
So I kind of feel like starting bottom up because that was just the feel of the card, because it was kind of not the best by a lot. So I'm gonna talk about the first fight that was cool, which is Chris Gutierrez and Andre Ewell. Both those guys are good fighters, very nice fighters. I really like to see both of them fight. It was at a 140 catch weight instead of 135, which is they normally fight at.
Who missed weight? Did someone miss weight, or was it short notice?
I think it was short notice, maybe. I believe, probably, potentially. But yes, they fought at 140. I don't see anything that says anybody missed weight as of right now. From what I'm looking at.
Gotcha.
And just a quick, basic, technical description of the fight. Ewell is a super long, rangy 135er.
Yeah.
Really long, ridiculously big and tall for 135. And Cruz Gutierrez is a range kicker. Really, really, really hard kicker himself. Kind of the story of the fight was, for most of it, was Gutierrez having a hard time getting kicks off on like the range and the movement of Ewell. But he made his kicks that he landed count. Yeah. I was kind of a little bit disappointed that he didn't use his kick feints to get into range to slow punches, because he had Ewell moving a whole lot and moving into directions where he could build off of that.
Exactly.
But I don't think he feels very comfortable closing the gap with his hands off of his kicks, because he didn't really do much at all. until he had Ewell hurt
enough
off
to
of
where
the
it
leg
was
kicks.
safe, where he felt safe.
Yes. Yeah, when he had Ewell hurt off the leg kicks, which he eventually did, because it just kind of slowly added up. The course of the fight, it added up. And then after that, Ewell can't do anything. He can't move much anymore, so you can kind of walk through with your hands for free. In the first round, now getting into the bigger points of the fight, which is other than the custody battles that they were talking about during the fight, which is
that was so
utterly
strange.
hilarious.
That was so strange.
Which is hilarious.
No idea why they got into that.
Both of these fighters have dealt with custody battles involving their children. Andre Ewell's son Eli is 7, and as
Gutierrez won the first round against Ewell because he landed a head kick that stunned Ewell, but he was losing that round. And it's so important to get like banker rounds on people. Like he got a round that he didn't, I wouldn't even necessarily say he deserved, but he dropped him really hard at the very, very end of it. And it allowed him to make his third round, which I think is a 10-8 round anyway. Third round be the winning round for him. Mm-hmm. So if the first round would have went normal, to me he should have got a draw by getting a 10-8 in the last round, because he was having a hard time closing the gap, getting countered a little bit, getting touched up a little bit with the range. But like getting those little cheap BS rounds, man, they're just so helpful. I cannot express how helpful they are. You know what I mean? Like you'll win and lose fights off of those.
It's kind of crazy to think about, because you can be getting tooled up the whole round and show like visible signs of damage, but not stagger or wobble, and then just get dropped or then just drop the guy in the last second, and all of a sudden you win the round. I don't think that you deserve that. That's kind of an interesting discussion. I'm not sure that you damage. Does throwing someone out of equilibrium indicate that you've damaged them more than if I batter your face with jabs for the next? I don't know.
No, I think this is just a major problem with the round by round scoring.
Yeah.
Not the judging. Well, judging is not the best, but the round by round scoring. Not that I have like a necessarily problem with that overall. I think things can be better, but like Gutierrez won the fight as a whole, and he also won it by rounds.
Sure.
But like for vast majority of the fight, he was losing.
Yeah.
Which is something that you can weigh. So like you could have, in the first round he was losing that pretty clearly. It wasn't like he was getting blown out or anything. He was just clearly losing. Mm-hmm. He got a flash knockdown, won that. Second round he just lost, and then third round he turned it up and won very handily.
Absolutely.
But so he won like 5 minutes of the fight and lost like 10, but still won the fight. But I will say he did the more damage, so I'm not really mad about him winning or losing.
See, I would still, if I looked at that fight as 5 or 15 consecutive minutes with no breaks in between, I would still give it to Gutierrez, especially because of how it ended. I mean,
but yes, that is a thing, because you'll have a guy win the first round by a knockdown, lose the second round pretty handily, and then get him knocked down in the third, and it's like, oh well, I guess he won because he had 2 moments, and like you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And again, that is an argument for something, because sometimes that is annoying, because it's like, okay, the better fighter clearly didn't win this fight, and like that's that's a problem
to deal with. Yeah.
But then also judging whole fights can sometimes devalue the first few rounds, because it's just hard to kind of remember like what happens in the first round or the second round. You kind of like very pinned onto the third round. Again, judging is a complex topic that you have to discuss. I do think MMA judges are not even the best at like doing what they have to do in their specific lane. I don't think there's nothing wrong with round by round scoring, but there probably is a better way. But I haven't thought too much about it. But yes, like it does make like you can cheat the system a bit. Like that's why people used to always back in the day always talk about like getting takedowns at the end of the round, things like that, because it's like that shouldn't. I mean, it doesn't not as much anymore, which is great. But it would like win you a fight that you weren't even winning in, because
it's strange.
It was close-ish. Then you take the guy down, you win the round. Close-ish, you took the guy down, you win the round.
Like the culture, like the commentary team would be like, he might have just stole the round with that takedown. It's like, why?
Yeah, it's like
he didn't do anything with it. Yeah.
He took him down 10 seconds left. Like, wow, whoop-de-doo.
It didn't mean anything. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
But if I may begin on this fight myself, I thought this was a really good example of like how you can use low kicks to disrupt someone's movement, and this is like almost such an obvious example of that by judging by the end of the third, the end of the fight in the third round, that it can almost caricature how effective that can be. But it takes me back to what Jeff Neal didn't do against Wonderboy Thompson, and exactly what he should have done with the rangy guy. Obviously, Andre Ewell and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson are not like identical fighters, nor do they even have like the same system for fighting. But nonetheless, they have long legs. They rely a lot on movement, and they step in on you have to bear weight on the lead leg, and it's like counter low kicking is such an effective system of countering in MMA, and you could even see Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman both using it to their advantage in the main event last evening. And I think like there's plenty of times where Ewell was, and it was bad. I mean, Ewell was circling out of the way, especially by the end of the third round, and Gutierrez would kick him, and it would cause him to spin up against the cage. Gutierrez was making good use of kicks to the correct direction. Like you can catch people who circle off guard, or you can prevent them from circling as a method of cage cutting with hooks that come the direction of the circle. Gutierrez was doing a good job kicking that way. I didn't like his over-reliance on the wheel kick as a way to intercept the circling of Ewell. I thought if he'd thrown like a left hook or just a left round kick,
Yes.
he would have had a much better chance of catching him in that, or even like a left kick to the body or left low kick. But lots of really brilliant work with his kicking though. He's a very dynamic kicker, a very fast kicker. I think he caught him with like a lead. I mean, he just picks his legs up and puts
He caught him with like a counter lead leg round kick. He hit him with like a lead leg hook kick. He's a very dynamic kicker.
Yeah.
Very beautiful kicker, very hard kicker, very fast kicker. Like Gutierrez is a very, very dangerous kicker, man. But I have yet to see him feel comfortable closing the gap off of his kicks
and using his hands,
and using the threats that his kicks make. Because his kicks are very, very dangerous, and you have to respect them. Using that to close the gap and land even better strikes, and then play that back into his kicks. He's gonna have to be able to do that. Other than people are just gonna kind of stay at range and mess up his timing and rhythm, and then burst in, hit him, go out. Burst in, hit him, and go out. It's gonna make things very difficult for him if he's not able to handle that. And then our guys will just kick with him and then close that gap off of their own kicks. It'll just make things difficult for him if he doesn't.
See, so that's the next step for him as a fighter, right? Is he needs to implement he needs to implement his talents as a kicker to make room for him to get inside and use his hands. Because like you said, people will get into range to where his kicks just they're not effective anymore, right? Like you can't round kick someone from the pocket. You know what I mean? And then they'll hit him with it. Yeah. So I agree with you there. I think over reliance on one skill set without integrating it into a rounded game is a big problem in MMA. And we're going to get to that as we talk about Rodolfo Vieira later on.
Exactly. It almost lost him this fight now. You know what I mean? He almost lost this fight now because of that. Because he was having such a hard time actually getting kicks off consistently. The course of the fight running the course of the fight, he was able to land enough to wilt him down, yada, yada, yada. But like he was having a hard time doing that, getting that game going because he had opportunities to strike and to build his kicks into punching exchanges and then use those punching exchanges to make it scarier, more dynamic, and just it flows off of each other and into each other in like in a beautiful symmetry.
Absolutely.
But yes, like it stuck him at a range where he couldn't even implement his game that well, and then he gets caught in weird spaces. So do you have anything else to say about the fight?
I don't have too much else to say about that fight.
But we will talk about the boy Bilal. Remember the name Muhammad, a.k.a. the GOAT, a.k.a. one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. I freaking love Bilal.
I made this joke, and maybe it's in poor taste, but I made this joke earlier before, so everyone who watches our podcast knows I absolutely love Beneil Dariush, and I love him as well. I absolutely love Bilal Muhammad, just like Trayvon, and these two are like...
Me and him are like the same fighters damn near, man. We really do, because like we got good taste.
Absolutely. You guys, want to know who like the hidden gem fighters are? You have to come. This is where you need to be. Post Fight Podcast. If you want to feel like those hidden gem fighters. But Bilal Muhammad is like what Beneil Dariush would be if he was an Arab. Like I swear they're the same person in a way. Not as a fighter, but they're just like damn near like they're so respectful. They're both Middle Eastern. I like them both. But yeah, man.
They constantly try to get better. They're working on things. They're cool people.
Yes.
They just what you want as a fighter. And like I always say, man, like
very nice. Yeah.
Not everyone's gonna be the best in the world, like duh. But like continuously get better, continuously work on your weakness, try to improve, be the best fighter you can be, and that's what Bilal, remember the name Muhammad, always does, and that's what Dariush always does.
And you know what? That's a perfect point to segue into our commentary on the person he beat last night, constantly improving and getting better. Because Diego Lima is brothers with Douglas Lima, who is somewhere looming between top 15 and top 20 welterweights in the world. Maybe not up there. Whatever. He's a good fighter. He's beat good guys, and he can beat good guys. And somehow, similar to how Antonia Shevchenko kind of just can't grapple very well, even though her sister's like low-key Mundial Shevchenko, never gets better grappling.
Mundial Shevchenko.
Yeah.
That's true. I know that is true.
So, Trayvon, you can take it away.
No, yeah. Okay, just the basic dynamic of the fight. Bilal could pressure for free, hit Diego Lima for free, and that was that. Diego Lima would come back with some hard low kicks every once in a while, like some really hard ones.
Yeah.
And they would exchange every once in a while. But the course of the fight, Bilal was just running him down and just tagging him. He just walk into range for free and beat up on Diego. But like when I watch Diego Lima fight, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's good at. Like
exactly, yeah.
I don't know what he's trying to do. In fact, I remember during the fight, he did like a few, like he did like a really nice thing one time. Like he slipped, I think, like a left straight or something, or like Bilal, remember the name Muhammad, was in southpaw, and he threw like a right uppercut to the body. I was like, why don't you do this like all the time? Like, or do you know how to do this? Like, did you just shoot that just randomly that one time? But like Diego Lima, I don't really know what he wants to do when he's fighting. Like
some fighters
like
have this. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he just kind of like. Okay, first of all, he always is against the cage a lot of times. He just has terrible ring craft, no defensive. It just Diego Lima needs a lot of work. You know what I mean?
Like looking at the
I'm actually into guy too because I think he's really nice as well. But like, he just doesn't. Every time I watch him fight, I'm just confused because I don't even know what's going on.
Well, looking at the fight right now, it reminds me of actually the Masvidal Usman fight in a way, and I'm not going to get too much into that, but there's actually a number of openings for him to flee to open space against the cage here, where Bilal's presence is a factor in backing him up against the cage, but equally, or perhaps more so, it's just Lima's unwillingness or inability to capitalize on the open angle. Like, I mean, perhaps it also just might be awareness of that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And like seeing that that's there. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. He does shoot some deathly low kicks. I mean, he's just punting that leg across the fucking octagon. But no,
like Bilal said, they started to hurt him. Like Bilal got to start checking them, man. That's like, come on, like you gotta
turn the shit out. Yeah, you can't just, you gotta do something. And checking is as important as countering a low kick, right? Like, because sometimes you're just not in position to counter. You have to be able to turn around and block it. You have to be conditioned on your shins. But luckily, Lima wasn't able to implement those behind any other tangible threats. But there are some fighters you watch where they stun you into speechlessness, and not in a good way. And by which I mean, you don't really know what to say about them. They're in the most literal sense just there. Like their presence is physically tangible or manifested in the octagon without any clear purpose or intention. There's nothing really. It's almost like, in a fashion like Tyron Woodley, even though you kind of know what his game is to wait for you to come up to him on the fence and throw the hard over.
Yeah, okay. For as much as I love to roast Tyron Woodley as a fighter, and it's very warranted, I know what he's trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might not think it's the best thing to do. I know what he's trying to do. But yes, like Diego Lima, you're right. He's just there. Like, what is his idea? Like, what's going? Like, what is your?
I'm not sure
what's going on?
Like, what frameworks are? What framework is he navigating in his head for how the fight progresses? Like, okay, this is my plan. What's plan B? Yeah.
Yeah, like even guys who are to me like really janky and don't have good plans, like John Dotson's or people like that, right? At least I can see like John Dotson, like, right? Sometimes I can see him trying to pressure and get power. I can see him trying to sit back and counter. I can see him out trying to draw exchanges every once in a while. Again, John Dotson to me a lot of times is just like, what are you doing, John Dotson? Like, what is your plan?
Yeah.
But at least sometimes I can see stuff with him because he was like borderline elite fighter at one point. But like Diego Lima, man, he just I just don't think he's UFC caliber, man.
But it makes you wonder, with him and other fighters who have similar problems, what is it that they do in training? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's strange. Like, I kind of want to hear their.
And we'll get to the training point when we get to Macy Barber, which has something to talk about as well. But yes, what are people doing in training? Like how does his sessions go? Like, do people
Diego
tell him like,
corner? Or Douglas in his corner? It is, isn't it?
Sadie, I'm sorry.
Douglas is in his corner, isn't he? He is.
I don't pay attention. I don't know.
That's Douglas.
But even still, it doesn't matter. like again, what is he trying to do, man? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know where Diego Lima's skills are. Like, he just did what he wanted to do. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, it sounds interesting because it's not worked into like the rising above like technical adversity. He's just kind of throwing, and everything he's throwing is landing. And it's not like Max Holloway where he's fighting a guy who actually has like something you know what I'm saying? Who's actually done well. It's just this guy's not doing anything. I don't know. Anyway, so that's that. We shall move on to the next fight of the evening.
To the best fight of the card, baby. Let's go.
Rodolfo Vieira versus Fluffy Anthony Hernandez, as I think we're taking to call him officially on this podcast. Trayvon?
We don't call him Fluffy, baby. Well, that's his nickname anyway, so.
So Trayvon and I both have a lot to say, but Trayvon's extremely enthusiastic about this roast, BJJ culture and whatnot. So take the floor.
No, yeah, okay, so first things first, I am not coming at Rodolfo Vieira personally. I don't know who he is. He could be a great guy. I hope he is, you know what I mean? Obviously an elite jiu-jitsu guy, elite grappler. But I just have problems with with what he represents. And not like in the sense of like BJJ culture as a whole, and then BJJ guys in MMA. Like BJJ culture as a whole, from the low levels to high levels, is really annoying to me. Because BJJ as a skill set is such a beautiful skill set, such a beautiful art, such high level stuff. Some of the stuff feels like magic. For those of you guys who train, like me and Armand train, we know. Like when you do stuff sometimes, like when you first learn, like this stuff is magic. How does this work? So like,
yeah,
this is insane.
It really does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's insane. But like a few things that like annoy me with BJJ culture. I really want to say this specifically, even though this doesn't really tie into the fight, but I really want to say this specifically. I really, 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 really do not like the mindset of like BJJ is an art where like size doesn't matter, or like you can beat bigger people. I would disagree. A lot of things with I'm sorry, not that you can't beat people that are bigger than you. Obviously, yes. And BJJ is a great job of like detailing like a systematic game that doesn't require as much physical attributes as like other combat sports. But that's what's important, because BJJ guys almost scoff at the idea of like trying to be athletic. Like I seen this on Twitter, and it annoyed me. Like in BJJ, it's the only sport damn near on the planet where like if somebody tells you you're strong, it's not a compliment.
Yeah,
like
that's weird. Yeah.
Yes, it's like,
wow, yeah.
Dude, we're grappling. We're physically trying to maneuver another person. Being strong is a massive plus. Being fast is a massive plus. Being flexible and all this is a massive plus. But like BJJ guys are like, so again, this isn't really too much indicative of the fight. I have other things to talk about that. But like BJJ guys would be so great if the mindset of the art to me was more shifted towards like practicality. And practicality is like being athletic. They would have much more success in MMA if they did stuff that like wasn't so sport jujitsu-ish. And I'm not, again, obviously you need to have your specific sport stuff. Yes, I'm not saying that's bad or anything, but like it's a sport that doesn't tie very well into actual real fighting. Quite ironically, it really doesn't. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Singularly, it's the best art technically. Yes, you can say that. But it's like when you gain other arts, they supplement way better into MMA. Like way better. You can argue that the point system does it, the culture does it. All that stuff plays a factor. Like in the BJJ, you don't get points for like riding somebody in the back like wrestling, or like if you get like the back without the hooks, you get no points. And it does a lot to like obviously like detail how people go about their games and whatnot. But yeah, a few I think a month or two ago, like Hofstra, this World's Strongest Man, the guy who deadlifted like he beat a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Really?
No, yeah, they had a little roll, and like he just sat on the guy and smushed him. And like that really like that annoyed me. Not because he's big and he won, because that pisses a lot of BJJ guys off. They're like, oh man, I would whoop a bodybuilder and all that. Like, you know that like these big strong guys have a way better base to be better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than the small guys? They do, because strength like that matters. I think he beat a Julian Palmer or something like that. I forgot his name. Something Palmer.
Josh Palmer.
Josh Palmer, yes. Yeah, he just got side control and just held him, and then he couldn't move, so the guy tapped because he got smothered.
This guy is a commentator on Polaris.
Cage Wars, I think. Oh yeah, Polaris, yeah. But no, yeah, it's like if BJJ guys were more.
Can I comment something real fast?
Yes, go ahead.
Because as I'm watching this, I remember to myself, where I saw him, and I remember him interviewing guys like Dorino, Gilbert Burns, ironically, but people who've competed in Polaris. Those guys are athletes, and those guys would have, I think, submitted Hafthor. Like if you have he's huge himself, but not as big as this guy, but Husamar Palhares. You know what I'm saying? Or someone who is an athlete, who's not just a jiu-jitsu guy. You know what I'm saying? He would not get stuck in butterfly guard here and have to tap or whatever the fuck he is. This is ridiculous.
You got to tap from side control.
I mean, he's just sitting here in butterfly guard, though, watching People need to
because he like eventually Hafthor passed and passes side control. But no, this
Hafthor
is like again that
has
annoyed
a decent
me.
base, and he's huge. He's fucking giant. He's a giant.
No, yeah, again, that's what like annoyed me because I've always had a lot of problems with BJJ culture, but seeing that it brought it out of me like a lot, and I was like,
do you think
a
that
lot
this
of things.
guy is Do you think that this guy is trying his best?
Hafthor?
No,
or
Josh Palmer.
I think he's trying his best because if he could have got out, he would have gotten out.
No, I mean but getting in that position initially, like letting him pass, not going for sweeps, not.
No, I think he was trying his best. It just he just couldn't move. But yeah, again, like him being like sitting to guard against a big ass guy and being not as athletic enough to like handle him. I'm not saying that he has to be the most athletic guy, but like wrestling, right? They emphasize strength and conditioning probably to an excessive degree. Like it's like that might be a problem with their culture as well.
Oh my God,
but they emphasize strength and conditioning to a massive degree. Those guys could like they're not as strong as Thor, obviously, but like a guy near his size could be able to body with Thor.
You don't think Abdul Rashid Sadulayev, the Dagestani wrestling champion, wouldn't pick Thor up and slam him, or at least trip him?
Maybe not pick him up, but yeah, he would kind of effectively ragdoll Thor, in my opinion.
Of course, he'd pick up his lead leg and trip him out. You know, like with the single.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah. Like Thor is strong as hell. Duh, he's the world's strongest man.
He's giant,
the strongest person in human history. But like, I don't know how to say his name, but yes, like
about that, but yeah.
Yeah, but like the wrestler, he is himself strong as hell, way more functionally athletic, and has a very high level skill. So like, obviously, again, like Armand says, this doesn't apply too much to Rodolfo Vieira, but like BJJ culture, man, it's like, let me sit to guard against this enormous person who is way stronger than me, and try to play butterfly guard and lift him up,
That's
and then
work,
like, well, huh? Why you do that? Like, again, it's not. And then this ties into the fight. It's not too much. Like, that's not a functional way to fight. You know what I mean? It's not very fun. It's not a way that leads to success. Now we get to Rodolfo. Okay, he's just not UFC caliber.
Well, let me comment on what we were talking about really quickly, if you don't mind, because I would like to, because Hannah Gracie made a post on Facebook a number of years ago saying, if you were trapped in an elevator for 5 minutes or however long, with an NFL linebacker and he was attacking you, would you be able to survive? And a bunch of 45-year-old blue belts, of course I would. Of course I would. Listen. If JJ Watt got a hold of your skinny, arthritis, fucking 20% bone density having ass in the gi, he would rip you into 3 equal pieces. I don't give a single fuck what kind of berimbolo shit you can do with your colored gi that says whatever the fuck it says on it, okay? You're a blue belt. Listen, motherfucker. Listen. Athleticism and size, and this is so interesting because I never thought about it being the only martial art where sports where strength, commenting on someone's strength is seen as a passive-aggressive insult. To say you're very strong is like you're not technical. No, it could mean that. But if you're strong and you're able to pull it off, that's fine. You're strong. We're in this situation. And I get it. I get that from a training perspective, you want to focus on developing your techniques so that if you come across someone who can match you. Okay, but as a totemic exercise, being strong in a fight sense and then using jiu-jitsu techniques in that fight is a fantastic thing. It's great. If some really strong guy won't let you get the armbar, you don't want to be 140 pounds cranking at it. You want to be a fucking whip that shit and tear his arm off. You know what I'm saying? Who is one of the best pure jiu-jitsu guys on the ground? No wrestling, things like that. George St. Pierre. He had great timing on his takedowns. Once he got to the ground, it was pretty much all jiu-jitsu. He didn't do any wrist rides and very few wrestling maneuvers. He was strong as hell. Look at him. He's an athletic specimen. You don't want to be a spaz. Guy. You don't want to be a spaz. That's bad. Like,
yes, exactly. Yes. But like, man, like all the elite level BJJ guys, again, they're athletes. They are professional at what they do. They're professional athletes. They are the world class at what they do. They're elite grapplers. They're the guys who could move Thor if you got on top of them and sweep him off in them or create some space or do things like that.
You think Andre Galvao would get stuck underneath Thor like that? He wouldn't even be there. He wouldn't allow himself to
exactly. Yeah. Because he's strong enough to like throw his ass down. You know what I mean? He's strong enough to like, he's strong and technical enough to move Thor, get him in position to lose and things like that. Because there's elite small black belts who move big guys. You know what I mean?
Marcelo
like strong
Garcia.
guys.
Marcelo Garcia.
Yeah.
He submitted what's his
Again, like I
name?
said, jiu-jitsu is a beautiful art, man. A beautiful, beautiful art, man. Like
it doesn't.
So we'll actually get into the fight now.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, I was cracking the hell up the whole way through. Because first things first, you guys, we have to say this very clearly. Obviously, Anthony Hernandez, the boy Fluffy, he is not a better grappler than Rodolfo Vieira.
Obviously.
But I loved how he kept on hunting submissions when I think he just could have TKO'd him. He was hunting for that stuff so hard, and I love to see it, man.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, yeah, he gets a TKO on Rodolfo Vieira. Who cares? Everybody knocks out grapplers. It happens to all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But, like, he tapped him because he gassed him so hard that he just could not. He was just sitting there, just could not defend, and it was just awesome.
It was
to see.
absolutely.
But
amazing.
that ties in again to another point in BJJ that annoys me. Rodolfo Vieira, again, not a slight on him personally, but he was completely unprepared for a fight in an MMA context.
Absolutely.
Like he obviously everybody needs time to develop, but his submission attacks and opportunities weren't the best. Like him going for the armbar from the back, I don't think that's a good idea. Lost in position. His striking and his wrestling were very underdeveloped. Again, people take time to develop, but it just was extremely unseamless. He looked like extremely unprepared when things went wrong, which happens to a lot of BJJ guys as well.
Sadly, yeah.
He gassed himself out extremely quickly, going for subs and attacks and things like that. He just fought a fight that wasn't like tailored to win a fight. You know what I mean? And I'm taking this point from one of my good Twitter friends, Ryan Wagner, probably the best analyst of all time, great guy. Like, yes, elite analysis. He said a lot of BJJ guys on the come up don't actually get to develop because they just auto sub guys immediately.
Yeah.
So like Rodolfo Vieira he gets on top of these trash people and he just kills them with some armbar, arm triangle, rear naked choke, whatever the hell he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when they finally face a guy who's semi-competent, they just hit a wall, boom.
Yeah.
And now it's like, what do I do?
What do I do?
At least with the elite wrestlers, right? They have to close the gap and wrestle a guy down, fight up submission attempts. You have to learn how to control people. Have to strike on the feet when they're tired and uncomfortable. And a lot of them take their submission losses or their weird like gassy losses in the beginning.
Yep.
And they have to learn off of that. Like almost all the wrestlers have to learn that. You know what I mean? Like all of them. Like all of them. Because they're wrestling a guy, they work at a pace that they can't keep and they get tired and they get tapped with something. Or they feel comfortable striking. They don't know how to strike and close the gap. They're shooting from like 15 feet away. They have to learn how to do that. But BJJ guys, they can just pull guard or run at a guy and just hit a crappy double leg and take him down.
But
when they fight a reasonable level guy,
wizard submission like an omoplata or a fucking twister on these mid-range to shit fighters, you know what I'm saying? Because they're ADCC medalists, and it's like, well, that doesn't really. What does that show? That you could strangle someone who's completely incompetent on the ground compared to you, you know? So yeah, continue. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No. That was a great point. But yes, like the wrestlers, they have to grow a skill. And they have to supplement their game with like actual tactics. All the elite BJJ guys in MMA do that. Damian Maia learned how to strike and wrestle. Like even though he went through his K1 Maia phase, that was important. That was very important. It wasn't very important. It was very important. He learned how to wrestle super good. He learned how to his pressure footwork got really good, and so now he knows how to close the gap, keep himself safe, put some shots on you on the slick, and then take you down. And then now it's like, oh snap! You know what I mean? You're fighting a fighter. You're fighting a competent, full-fledged fighter.
Yes.
Khabib isn't the BJJ guy, but he's the premise is still there. You know what I mean?
Well, he needs to take you down and work you with grappling. It's still the premise.
Exactly. Braun Ortega, he's developed himself a really nice striking game that flows into people wanting to close the gap on him and hit, and so he can hit submissions or big shots on them.
And he was always working on that too. Like you could tell, like he was, even when he would stand up and throw like janky spazzy hands on the feet against you could tell it was something that was actively training to do. It was like, I know I'm not going to be on the ground all the time. This is what I like, and you can see through his progression. His plan wasn't to strong arm the guy down and instantly submit him. You know what I'm saying? It was never that. You know, so.
Exactly, man. Like all the elite BJJ guys, man, they develop an MMA game, and a lot of that is through like working specific areas that they're weak at. Like wrestlers are forced to do that. You know what I mean? They're forced to do that. Like with BJJ guys, they can just kind of be at submission people early, and then they face a guy who's like, oh, he's a good wrestler and a good grappler. So you you can't take him down, and if you do, you're not gonna just stop him immediately, and so now you got to like contest with him.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, and I'm gonna interject my own thoughts on some of the things you said, and then sort of use those as a prelude into my own observations. But this looks just like things that used to happen, like when Royce Gracie came back to fight Matt Hughes. Like, I don't even know. This is just sad. You shouldn't be. Look, we're in 2021 now, Trayvon. We should be past the point where that really good jiu-jitsu guy from Brazil can't strike, and he comes in like Blaydes Ishmael against whoever the Japanese guy was, with his head straight in the air like this, this stance that they used to do in the Brazilian jiu-jitsu thing, and they dive on really bad Donald Cerrone-esque takedown attempts, as they used to call them, the Brazilian double or the Gracie tackle, and they can't get it, and they look clueless. This is what that was, and it was sad. And we're having a conversation with one of our friends about this, and Trayvon and I joked that they should cut Rodolfo Vieira, and he was like, after one loss, he's 2-1 the UFC, and I jokingly remarked, well, so is Chase Hooper, but you see, that was a loaded statement. It's not about the record in the UFC. Like, this is something that's so important, and Trayvon has mentioned this before, in discussion of Khabib Nurmagomedov, although it didn't apply to him. Records are overrated. They really are. Like, looking at someone's record, especially before the UFC or early on in their UFC career, is such a poor way of analyzing what they are as a fighter.
Okay, I'm sorry. Rodolfo Vieira, okay, so I know one of his wins is Safirbek Safarov, who is just not good, and Oscar Piota. I think I've heard Oscar Piota before, but like, yeah, I've seen Oscar Piota before. Yeah, these guys are just not, the guys he's fighting are just not good. It's like,
no, and records are overrated. They're not a valid. Or
yes,
they're not very.
I'm sorry. I have to point this out as well. I'm sorry.
Go for it. I'm sorry.
Safirbek Safarov, before he came in the UFC, was undefeated. He was undefeated, and Oscar Piota, before he came into the UFC, undefeated. He had one draw. That was it.
Yeah.
So these guys aren't good. Chase Hooper, before he came into the UFC, undefeated.
Not good fighters, but
and then like I said again, we're kind of spoiling something for you guys. But yeah, Khabib Nurmagomedov, before he came to the UFC, undefeated. But no, his record was against guys who were like
mostly shit,
barely fighting, not good guys. You know what I mean? Like, he was fighting low level competition.
Yeah,
but so no, you can go ahead.
That's why they call the octagon, in as cheesy as it sounds, the ultimate proving ground, because this is what I mean. Records are very, very information shallow indicators of what a fighter is capable of once they enter the octagon. They're not information dense sources of analytical like value. What you want to do is look at what they're capable of doing in the fights, even if they win them.
Yes, like the boy Fluffy Anthony Hernandez, who he just fought. I highly doubt he's gonna do anything in the UFC. I'm not wishing downfall on anybody. Like, if he does great, that's awesome. You know what I mean? But I don't really see him as like a top 15 guy. You know what I mean? I don't really see like.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't see like crazy potential out of him.
To sort of tie everything in that I was getting at. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really tired, so I'm not as focused with my commentary today. That just shouldn't be happening, and it's sad. And I love jiu-jitsu. I'll always be a jiu-jitsu guy. Like, if I'm in trouble and somebody, if I'm hurt and a guy gets in my guard, I'm actually using rubber guard mission control, just holding him there until that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Just holding him there until I recover. Yeah, I'm always gonna love jiu-jitsu. I'm always gonna have a thing for Damian Maia, Brian Ortega, people like that. That being said, it lacks so many important aspects of fighting. There's not wrestling.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Change
it like
levels.
It has like high stats in some things and then like no stats in other things.
Yeah,
like
bad wrestling. That's the problem. That's the problem. They just cannot wrestle. Their sense of when to change levels.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Yeah, man. Like, a lot of things. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue on.
No, I mean, I'm with you there. I mean, their sense of when to change level. The athleticism is not built into the moderate, the middle ground jiu-jitsu culture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry. Not to cut you off, but yes, that's so important. I was trying to use those words, but yes, athleticism isn't built into the art.
So it should be a word. Anyway, we just went on a giant tangent about jiu-jitsu competition, jiu-jitsu culture. This was a episode where you got to hear our opinions on a lot of things not directly related to this fight. So in the interest of time, since we're 55 minutes in, we are going to move on to the next fight on this card. Of relevance.
Yeah, we'll go quick, you guys. Don't worry.
So, let's make it kind of fast. Let's skip around. So I didn't care about Pitolo. Ricky Simone versus Brian Kelleher. That was a fun fight. Ricky Simone kind of grapple fucked him. It was exactly what I expected. Yeah. Kelleher, people who prioritize guillotines as their first line of responding to being clinched up with it are never going to do well in MMA. He's still cool. Front kicks were game. Kelvin Gastelum versus Ian Heinisch. This fight was annoying to me because it was like someone who probably knew how to sprawl and use takedown defense given his pedigree as a state champion at some wrestling, whatever, but instead chose to do absolutely nothing to kind of go limp while being picked up by someone who's not known as a giant wrestler and who is small in the division and just went down. I was annoyed though how Kelvin Gastelum kept putting himself in position to be Kimura.
Okay, man. Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet because I had a lot to say about Kelvin Gastelum as well. I can summarize it. I think Kelvin Gastelum was the most overrated fighter in the UFC, MMA, just about MMA. Kelvin Gastelum could have been so good. He could have been so good, man. He could have been so good. He just is the same fighter, maybe even worse, man. Like
I can see the worst part.
Like Kelvin Gastelum is just pretty much a 1 or a 3-2.
Fair enough.
Very aggressive scrambler when he grapples, and that's about it. Like he can't like I don't see Kelvin Gastelum as an elite guy, and he had obviously a great performance against Israel, but that's about his only like good performance to me. You know what I mean? Even still, he got annihilated. To be honest with you, in that fight, Kelvin Gastelum, there's a universe out there where Kelvin Gastelum is legitimately elite, a legitimate title contender, in 170 or 185 to be honest with you. But man, he should be at 170. What like? And Ian Heinisch is like I don't know if he's gotten better.
Yeah.
He is just better than Ian Heinisch, but has he gotten better? I don't
know. It's strange to watch. I like him though. I don't think he's the most overrated fighter in the UFC. I would say there's a lot of people who are a little more overrated. But
that's true.
But
I'm sorry. I say because it's people act like he has elite boxing or he's an elite fighter. That irritates me, man. Like I'm like, you guys are like projecting of what like you think Kelvin Gastelum is, or like he possibly could be, but he's just not that. And it's like Kelvin Gastelum, people talk about him, it just irritates me. I mean, like because they just have a bad read on him.
Agreed. Yeah, good win for him though.
No, yeah, I'm happy he won.
Yeah, I mean his wrestling looked good. It wasn't like super advanced stuff. It was lots of shooting into a clinch and then entering a duck under against a limp Ian Heinisch, which was strange. Yeah. I have nothing to say about Macy Barber versus Alexa Grasso, but I know you do. So
I have a little bit to say. Again on this one, I had a big idea of what I wanted to say. I'll cut it down again. No man, like Macy Barber, man, like she's just a person to me. I've heard one of my friends on Twitter, Dan Martin. He said that she looks like an athlete who doesn't even like train, as in like she doesn't like. I mean, she trains obviously. She's in shape, but like she doesn't even train for like MMA. She's just like hitting the pads or like does a few drills of jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and like that's it.
She can shadow box.
And like, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? She shadow boxes for an hour, 2 hours a day.
Cardio kickboxing.
Does a few drills for an hour, 2 hours a day, and it's like, what? Like she's just not gonna be the youngest champion, man. And especially in the division with Valentina, like. No. Don't put her anywhere near, like at all. She's just a person, man, who is a very physical athlete for 125, obviously, which helps out a lot, obviously. She has to me like good like fighter instincts. She knows when to pick up the pace. She knows when she has to bite down and like work. But she's just highly underskilled. Like my girl Big Roxy, like that, like my girl Big Roxy out here did her up. She's the one to show you, okay, do you have the athleticism and or the skills to compete with me? And if it's a no, you're not gonna be a title challenger. It's that simple. Just that simple. You know what I mean?
That's Roxy's role.
Now
I love Roxy too, but that's off topic. I ship you with people like that. You need an anime girl. You need an anime girl who wears one of them fucking things. I swear.
Like I said, no comment. Back onto the topic.
Just so you guys know, Trayvon before they started was watching something called something 500 or other about NASCAR.
I am watching NASCAR right now. It's very awesome. But no, yes, like no, my girl Big Roxy did Macy Barber up. So like that's how I knew like Barbara's gonna take time she needs to take her time to get better at her skills. She needs to skill develop. Your skill work is most important. And Macy Barber is just highly underskilled. She just can't. She was punching at air the whole time. That, oh my gosh, that irritates my soul. It annoys me, man, when fighters they don't even have the distance. They don't even have the distance management to know when they're close enough or not close enough to strike. So they just put volume out of air like the Michelle Watterson stuff.
Chase Hooper.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Like, so we got a video coming up with them, you guys.
Yeah. It's on my mind.
But no, yes, right. It tells me they don't understand the range or the distance or how to navigate that, and that is like a basic day one stuff. Again, not trying to be that guy, but like, this is MMA type fighter stuff. All other striking sports, they don't have this problem. You don't see guys throwing at air because they know how to get into the range.
Yeah.
They, like, literally, can you think of any boxer who is like not 2 years old or hasn't been training for 3 months minimum, who has ever just threw at air, or kickboxer or Muay Thai guy or karate guy, anything?
Charlie Zelenoff. I don't even think he's done that. I don't even think
he might count, but he's the one. He's the only one. He's a meme. He's a meme for a reason.
Yeah.
But no, she needs, like, she can even do light sparring. Just get the range. Damn it, you know what I mean? Like, feel the distance.
Here's what I was gonna wonder, and maybe this will segue into our Usman thing pretty well. Certain camps are better for certain people. Like, Macy Barber would actually do better at a camp like whichever the I don't know the name of it anymore, but Henry Hoof's camp or Rafael Cordeira's camp, or camps where they're sparring a lot and they're getting you used to getting, you're getting scratched, especially because she's so big and powerful for the division.
Yeah,
you don't want her thinking she can fight at range. I would want her to get in there and get some sparring fight, some spars.
Like, all the time. Like, okay, Macy Barber, all the time she closes gaps on people, she hurts them, hits them hard, either takes them down and beats them up from top. She's really physical. Like, she has like a physical person's game. Yeah. Because when she touches people, they feel it. And then she'll bull them into the clinch and take them down and then beat them up on the ground. And it's like, that's awesome. Do that all the time. You know what I mean? But no, yeah, that's about that. Well, I guess we'll quickly go over the main. The main was a good fight. I really like to watch it. I think both guys fought a good fight. Like, I said last week very quickly, I was picking Usman to win. But to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting him to have such a hard fight that he had. But Burns did very good things. Immediately, like attacking Usman, pressing him back, scaring Usman off from Usman pressuring himself.
That was strange
countering Usman's initial jabs.
Yeah.
Eddie, I'm sorry.
It was strange to see Usman backing up. It was
exactly.
Strange.
And like, okay,
very strange.
Like, I'm gonna use this again, like, to go over like the big pictures of each guy. Usman, while being, to me, damn near an all-time great fighter, a great champ, a guy who, to me, other than Leon, can even compete with him really. In the division, I don't see him losing really against anybody in the division right now. For being all that, and for also knowing his weaknesses, he seems, even though he is rock solid, like, vulnerable in like spots, and it's really fun to see that in a funny way. Like, his defense is kind of very like shaky.
Yeah,
like, very shaky.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He looked like he freezes when he gets hit. He just doesn't like.
That's what I was saying. He gets stunned, and I don't mean just like rocked. I mean he gets wide-eyed, like, oh shit.
Yes, he he doesn't like shots coming at him because he just isn't the best with that. But his offensive game is a lot better. Jab is a damn piston, bro. God damn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jab is a piston. He's smart. He stays calm and composed when things get bad. He's always done that. Obviously an elite wrestler. Me and our mom were talking about this a little bit before, but I really like Burns shooting on him. I like Burns shooting on him to mix up the dynamic for Burns' sake and to keep Usman honest. But Burns got nothing going on the takedown, so it looks like Usman is I already had this idea, but he looks like a shut down defensive wrestler, which isn't surprising, but
he's so
it's looking more and more solidified.
That being said, I will say the only thing I'm not sure, I don't think RDA did end up taking Usman down though in their fight. No,
I don't think he did. No, sir.
Now, I actually have a few technical details I wanted to point out about it, but I'll let you finish after I briefly mention. That being said, Burns is more of an opportunistic, explosive takedown threat and less of like a technical wrestling threat. Like he'll enter on a hard double leg or like some kind of a trip or something like that off of an entry of his opponent. He's not someone who initiates takedown exchanges and then chains them together into successful completions like Colby Covington or Nurmagomedov or anyone like that. So, but just your comment on his takedown defense.
No, that's fine. No, yeah, like I said, the fight was very good. I like to say, like, Burns did some really smart things in spaces. I love how he tried to knee a lot, how he covered gaps a lot, how he tried to stop Usman from himself shooting or covering distance and pushing him back, which was good. But Burns' striking and his defensive striking has holes in it, and that shirt and his pace that he kept in the fight was extremely aggressive, which again I think is actually good. But it tired him out. He couldn't defend the jabs. He couldn't get any grappling exchanges going that he looked like he wanted to. He just kind of he was always going to be fighting a hard fight against Usman. I think he fought the best he could have fought, to be honest with you. And he just got finished by a better fighter, a fighter more prepared for him, a fighter that has skill sets and tools that just are hard for him to navigate.
You know, I agree with you for the most part. What I'm going to take a turn of disagreement is, I would say it was a fantastic idea to start hard. Like, he did this against Tyron Woodley.
I think that's a good idea. Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Yes, and it clearly paid off because, I mean, the first real big connection was that beautiful cross counter over the top of Usman's jab, which dropped Usman, and then he wobbled him a number of times afterward in that round, even after standing up from that extended vacation he took with his back and ass on the mat, which was just a complete...
That didn't help him. That didn't help him at all.
Horrible.
You damn jiu-jitsu, man. That
was a horrible decision. It was a horrible decision. Now I'm gonna get into that because I actually kind of broke this down. But him starting like that was great. But toward the end of the round, you'll notice Usman's making the adjustments. You can hear Trevor Whitman saying, make him make mistakes. Thank you. What, popping his jab out, feinting things. And Burns is on a hair trigger. You can see him quickly shift his legs like he wants to throw a switch kick underneath underneath the armpit of Usman or whatever, wherever he wants it, or a counter low kick. He's loading up on things. He's on a hair trigger, and now he's beginning to, even though I think he hurt him afterward, I'm not entirely sure, but he's beginning to look lost. Like, not lost, but like the seeds were planted for the dynamic shift that fight took. So what I would have said was, Burns, start off the fight like that. Don't take that layoff on the ground. I don't know why you would do that. And then eventually adjust your pace to Usman's adjustment. Like, what I would have wanted, and I don't think he's technically capable of doing this, but what I would have wanted him to do more is to be smarter about his entries. Like he can still burst in and put a pace on Usman in those like frantic exchanges, but he was so reliably running in with his head straight up on almost all of his entries, and they weren't intelligently selected. In order to intelligently select entries, you have to have things you do in between them, right? It's like what I was talking about with Joaquin Buckley. He reliably comes in on straight lines with hooks and spazzy things like that are death hard. You know what I'm saying? But there's nothing he does to integrate that into his game in an effective way. I would have liked to have seen Burns working behind a better jab, tucking his chin more. I liked him throwing the low kicks. I didn't like him telegraphing them, stepping in, and leading with them. So there's a few technical problems that Burns had. One, you'll notice this, especially as the fight wore on. Burns does not, and Trayvon always says keeping your hands up is cheap advice, and it is, right? You don't want to tell like Wonder Boy to keep his hands up. It's not how it doesn't play into his fighting style. You know what I mean? But that being said, not only would he have benefited from having some sort of guard, Burns' head is straight. I mean, he looked like Derrick Brunson in there. You know, his head was straight in the air. You can see him coming in overhands like this. You know, this is not good. It's not good. He's not down behind his shoulder. And the first big right straight, the right counter that Usman landed over the top of or following Gilbert Burns' jab came because Burns stepped in like this with his hand down out of position with his chin in the air, and then Usman just times it. Right? If you jab behind your shoulder and blade yourself, right? You can take it on the shoulder, you can take it on the top of the head, on the forehead if you're straighter than him. It's just basic things like that. And for a jiu-jitsu guy, he's honestly made a lot of development in his striking. And it's no surprise. He's a tremendous athlete. It's like the thing we're talking about. High-level jiu-jitsu guy. Great athlete. Great on the ground. But that was one of the things that really failed him. Also, he didn't pick his entries intelligently, Trayvon. Like, one thing, like, the low kicks were working for him, especially the counter low kicks off of Usman's jab. And to his credit, Usman was throwing them back off of Burns' jab and just into the body and things like that. But Burns would, and I think 2 of the 3 jabs that caught him, and both of the ones that dropped him, came off of him stepping in on one leg to throw a low kick with his hands kind of down and telegraphing it. You know, especially with someone who's demonstrated an ability to not only jab you, but jab you quickly and very hard. You cannot telegraph things like that. He's going to counter you straight down the middle. So it was a lot of really good work from the beginning, right? Like to catch him off guard with the pace. But you could tell that was like the thing that he had, and he didn't have the nuanced game and the technical defensive competency to supplement smarter things into that, so he could be more intelligent with it. Those were my observations, right? But he still did a lot of really good things. The cross counter was there for him. I liked it that when Usman tried to duck his head, he threw a stepping knee to catch Usman off. He threw a couple to the body. The uppercuts were there. A lot of really good work there. I think this fight could have been a lot better for Burns if he, like I said, were more measured, which would require a more technical striking game and was more defensively responsible. No. Those are my observations.
No, last thing I have to say, and then about Usman, I don't like how he's kind of unwilling to grapple with guys sometimes.
Yeah.
Again, I'm assuming. I think he could have just sat in Burns' guard, like walked into his guard, or like, and then kept himself safe. You know what I mean? I mean, like, again, they've trained with each other way, way, way more than you know what I mean, than I've seen. Yeah. So they know their changes better than I do.
I agree.
But I would just assume, you know what I mean? I would just assume that Usman is a good enough grappler to press his advantages himself. Like I didn't like him conceding range. Like just tie up with Gilbert. You're big and strong. I mean he is too, but like I think you're better there. You know what I mean? Like giving him range will get you hurt. You know what I mean? Like it's way more dangerous.
I agree with
conceding
you 100%.
That space.
I agree, and it's actually interesting to think. Yeah, they do train together, but so maybe every time Usman got into his guard, he just got tied in a knot. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, again, maybe they did have, but I doubt it. You know what I mean? Gilbert is a better grappler, yes, and maybe I'm sure Gilbert probably caught him a few times with some, and it's like, oh snap, you know what I mean? I don't want this to happen in the fight, you know what I mean? Like, but
dude, honestly, but
I would assume like
you're good.
He could handle him.
You need to get in his guard and sit there and do punch him in the face. Right? Maybe he was more hurt than we thought, and he was just staying really disciplined. Because I
would, yeah. I mean, that puts again a lot of variables there, but then tying it into Gilbert. If you can clearly see a guy is not willing to grapple with you, first of all, you can stand up very easily, sit up into him hard and get him to back away and be scared, and then you have yourself room to back out. You can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things. If a guy is not willing to grapple with you, you can use that as like a crutch. You know what I mean? Like as a massive crutch to like hit, like to like be in safe in spots you normally wouldn't be safe in. You know what I mean? Mm. Like he was on his back for like 2 minutes, damn near. You know what I mean? Like. You can get your space a lot easier, you know what I mean? And like also you could force grappling exchanges in ways that like benefit you, but he won't even engage in, you know what I mean? It's like it's a lot of things he could have done there, to help himself out. But yeah, I want to see Usman clinching people up more and shooting on people more, even if they have the grappling advantage. Because like
he needs to be confident
I'm quite confident.
I believe he would have been fine if he just sat in his guard. I mean, fucking Jack Hermanson sat in Jacare's guard and just, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
And Jacare's a top player, but still, you know what I mean? Still, you know what I mean? But yeah, like
so Jacare was a high level Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yes, exactly, yes. Like Usman, just grapple with him. You know what I mean? Your life will be easier. If a guy rushes you, stand your ground, clinch up with him. Now they got to contest with that. They break away a few times. You got great cardio. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like,
and
that way you won't be sitting in range getting punched in the face hard as hell.
And just to comment on this quickly, obviously Usman is a tremendous physical athlete and has ridiculous conditioning. His cardio is second to none. But his striking has, since the Hader Hassan fight, which we watched last week, come such a long way. It has. Yeah, his jab is like a piston. He's seeing counters more. He throws straighter punches. Doesn't overextend as much. He's always going to be hittable. He's always going to be like, not like, yes, a little chinny, not chinny, but like he doesn't like if you crowd him in the pocket and start throwing, he like gets confused and freezes. Like he doesn't always see the punches coming. But his timing on counter low kicks and his body kicks have become so good. It's actually kind of crazy to see how much better. Like I would not have picked him to finish a fight against anyone but Colby Covington like that. You know what I'm saying?
No, like speaking of last point again. Speaking of Usman himself was a really, really, really hyped prospect. Like as he was coming up, he was super, super hyped. So like it's actually good to see a prospect like actually realize that hype, like him and like the Peter Yans, like guys who were like, you can tell that they're going to be very, very good. Hopefully they stay, they on that course.
Yeah.
And he developed in a great wrestling way that helped him become an elite fighter.
Agreed. And so with that, it's been a while, guys. We're definitely going to conclude now so you guys can get about your lives. We really appreciate y'all coming out. We hope you liked it. Be sure, please, to like, comment, and subscribe. We are 8 subscriptions away from our monthly goal of 100. It took us by surprise. Our last 2 videos did so well for our channel. Very surprising. We're going to continue upping the quality. We hope you like the edits and the clips we put in last time. We hope we made it a little bit easier for you guys to watch, to digest, to see what we were talking about. We hope it was more structured. This one was a little less formal because there was less formal elements of this card to really get into and discuss in a structured fashion. But nonetheless, very soon we'll be upgrading the quality of our podcast more and more over time. Eventually we'll have graphics up. Trayvon will have a better mic set up over time. And yeah, we can't wait to see where 2020 takes Post Fight Podcast. Thank you for joining.
2021. Don't ever speak about that year.
I got it mixed up because I was just about to say we are on our 20th episode, which means you guys get another blooper reel. We have more footage for you guys this time because I didn't delete all of it before I knew we were going to be doing this. That'll drop some random point during this week. It doesn't matter when. We have a lot of content coming out for you guys this week and in the coming months. So stick around, stay tuned. We love y'all. Thanks for everything.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, so as quickly as possible, I'm just going to make another interjection really quickly. We decided that with the power outage and how long it took to edit everything because of that and how long our episode was last week, we're just going to tack on a 15, 20 minute little review of Derrick Lewis, H-Town Boy versus Curtis Blaydes. To the end of last week's episode where we review Usman versus Burns and things like that. Just put that right there at the end and it's all going to come to you this week. I lied to you guys at the beginning of this week's video about what our upload schedule was going to be for the week preceding Valentine's Day. Sorry about that, but here this is. So 2 episodes in 1.
All right, you guys. So this is just a quick little cut in because of the power and all that. So we couldn't release last week's episode this week. Well, no, last week. So we had to release it this week. So we're just going to quickly go over the Blaydes and Lewis Fight Night card.
We're only going to talk about Lewis and Blaydes. We're only talking about those.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. So I'll super quickly go over everything else. Nothing.
That's actually hilarious.
Julian Erosa's cool, I guess. I like Julian Erosa.
That's the guy, Rashal Malik from former Houstonian. I think he lives somewhere else now. Zion MMA. John Tran is one of his good friends. He was in his corner, right? Against the dude with the mustache. Or is that someone Castaneda? Who was the guy that John told us to watch? He fought Eddie Wineland.
Yes, that's Castaneda. That's Eddie Wineland lost, which is sad too as well. Yeah, so it's Castaneda. Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Well, Rashad Malik, shout out.
And yeah, so on to the main event, you guys. First things first, man. Derrick Lewis held it down for H-Town. We had ourselves a bad week, as all of our H-Town people know. Not a good week. There's still things going on, but we generally, as a whole, have recovered. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the main event today. So me and our mom were basically arguing like last night. Not even arguing, we're just talking pretty much. And like how Blaydes could have won this fight in a lot of different ways, but he did it. And we're cool with that because Derrick Lewis is freaking awesome.
We weren't arguing.
Go ahead. No, I'm joking. Yes, yeah.
Oh, we agreed on everything. Yeah, I was saying.
We just agreeing because So first things first, we'll talk about Derrick Lewis because why wouldn't you want to talk about Derrick Lewis? Freaking H-Town legend, Houston legend, the GOAT.
Yeah.
Derrick Lewis is the ultimate encapsulation of heavyweight. Him and Ngannou.
Caricatures almost.
Like, say it again?
They're almost, especially him, they're almost caricatures of heavyweight.
Yes, and I love it. You know what I mean? Like, me and our mom were talking before the episode of how Derrick Lewis has a pretty good, pretty good heavyweight resume. Like,
it's crazy.
Really,
it's actually ridiculous.
Yes, legitimately just good for heavyweight. Like, he's an all-time heavyweight. Like, he really is.
Curtis Blaydes, Alexei Oleinik, Ilir Latifi, that's okay. Blagoy, that's okay. Alexander Volkov, Francis Ngannou, Marcin Tybura, Travis Brown, Roy Nelson, Gabriel Gonzaga, Shamil Abdurrahimov. These are like decent to good heavyweights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of crazy.
That's a lot too.
It's a lot of them too. And he's
a
finished
lot.
a lot of these guys too. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Dude, he has a lot of respectable heavyweight names, and he's finished a lot of them as well. Yes, like he has a surprisingly good heavyweight resume, and I love it because he's just so obviously again we roast heavyweight and it's understandable. Like again, always we always joke not joke, it's true. But if people like Lewis or Ngannou were in other divisions, good divisions, they don't have the skills to like
Yeah.
compete against the high level guys. Or
If
even
either of them
UFC.
were in any other division, maybe you could get away at light heavyweight, but they'd be just be like nine. Who would they be? They would be bad regional talent, to be honest. But yeah.
But like the thing I love about Derrick Lewis is he's so self aware. Like, and it helps him out. It helps him out so much fighting. Like against Blaydes, right? We'll get to Blaydes a little bit because I'm disappointed in Blaydes. But no, yeah. He understood the dynamic of the fight so simply that he just tailored his game directly to it, and he got himself a disgustingly brutal knockout off of it. He was talking about how like he was just waiting for the takedown the whole time. Like that's
He's
it.
like,
You know what I mean?
I don't even throw no ones and twos. I'm just looking for the uppercut or the knee.
Yes.
So funny.
Yes. And like, I know as funny as like joking as we're putting it.
Yeah.
You have to have basic understanding of dynamics like that, and he does. You know what I mean? Like he understands what like.
Yeah.
He understands what he has to do to like
win.
He understands how he's supposed to win a fight, pretty much.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
He's a surprisingly like smart fighter.
So this is what I was saying to Trayvon earlier. He is like every very limited technical heavyweight, by which I mean they're just limited technically. They're not very good skill wise, except that he actually has a good fight IQ for heavyweight. Right? It's like if you took like some shit fighters like Junior Albini or like the guy Augusto Sakai. Not that they're technically the same, but that they're just not good. You know what I'm saying? And then you gave them like a brain that like knew when and where to use the limited amount of effective tools they had. You'd have Derrick Lewis, and that's what you have. That's why I respect
Actually,
him as
man, because they're more well rounded and skilled than Derrick Lewis. So you'd have somebody better.
You know, yeah, that's true. But you know what I mean. I'm talking about just
but no, that says a lot about Derrick Lewis though.
For sure. Maybe I pick bad examples. But you know what I'm getting at, right? Like, you could take a lot of bad heavyweight who are just dead ass, just horrid. And, not that... I mean, no, Derrick Lewis is not very good. Like, as a striker, he's very limited. He doesn't even defend takedowns. That guy he just flops most of the time. And, he does get-ups really well. He doesn't just stand up. The only time he really did that was against Roy Nelson when he just stiff-armed him and that was crazy. He's so strong. But, usually he's actually a very technical... There's an article I read about it a long time ago. I'll link it in the description. But he's actually... I think Ed
Gallo wrote it.
I think it was. It was.
My man Ed Gallo, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He yeah, that was a really good article. I think it was. So shout out to Ed Gallo.
Because Ed only makes great articles. But yes.
Yeah. So I read a while ago. It had like GIFs on it, and he talked about the only time he just stood up was against Roy Nelson, and he said you have to be really strong. Yeah, I think that was it. But he actually is like... That's probably the most technical part of his game is... Like, just as far as the mechanics are concerned, probably just, like, he'll, like, do, like, the thing you're supposed to, like, get an underhook, get to a hip, and then stand up really well. But he just knows, like Trayvon was saying, he knows when to use his tools in the fight. Like, he just knows what he has to do. He has a good read on dynamics. Like, he knows what he has to do. And, like, he either gets the shit beat out of him and then wins, or just gets the shit beat out of him. But it's never because, like, he's, like, putting himself out there and getting, like, deathly countered. It's because he's like, there's nothing I can do here. And he just knows it. So he just stands there and gets it. And he doesn't try to do anything if he knows he can't. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes, it is so smart because he's like, okay, I know I'm out of position. I know I can't really do anything. I'm taking some big shots. That's not good. But he's like, let me weather the storm. And then like, there's the gas now.
Like that Travis Brown
just
fight
beat me
where
up for
he
like
just
3
got
rounds.
kicked in the stomach over and over again. Oh my god! And he kept going, and then he fucking finished him. Derrick Lewis, he's so funny. I love Derrick Lewis.
No, because Blaydes was putting some work on him too in the fight as well.
In a very sloppy way, but it was working.
Yeah, like everybody, like again, Derrick Lewis has such a great understanding of how like the dynamic of fights, man. It's obviously something that can only work at heavyweight. Obviously, still, man, it helps him out. Like he's just smarter than these guys. You know what I mean?
No, he really is. And so if I may get into like the technical things of the fight, it's very simple. Trayvon and I were talking about there are a million ways Curtis Blaydes could have made this fight an easy W for him, even a spectacular W for him if he'd implemented the proper game plan. In a narrow band of scenarios wherein he got knocked out like that, and he like decided to just walk and squeeze himself into that little position. Basically, look, Trayvon was talking about. I'll let you get to what you were saying about probing and stuff, and if I could just quickly get what
yeah.
Trayvon's idea for what Curtis Blaydes could have done required even more tactical competence than the thing I think he should. I mean, would have been more feasible for him to do, just because he's a heavyweight and he's not that good. Curtis Blaydes was in his sloppy way backing Lewis up, or Lewis was backing himself up with the assistance of Blaydes, and then like throwing outside leg kicks to the lead leg, whatever, kind of hitting him with like really bad 1s and 2s. So Derrick Lewis is obviously waiting. He's not throwing 1s and 2s like usual. He's not really trying to counter, except when you enter hard into range and like punch yourself into clinch space without actually clinching, and then you'll just kind of like swing and bang. So Derrick Lewis is probably looking for some shot to come up the middle as you shoot to the inside. He's probably looking for an uppercut or a knee. If you watch that fight for round 1, you can think, okay, Derrick Lewis is probably looking to counter me with some intercepting strike as I come in. So what's the solution to that? I need to take him down, but I don't want to get countered. Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor. Every shot that Khabib shot against Conor tried to time an uppercut or a knee. How did he solve that? By simply shooting to the outside. Curtis Blaydes, I know he could have turned his head to the outside. He didn't even have to have like a really good level change. He just needed to bend at the hip while Lewis had pretty much backed himself up behind the black line, throw something for no reason to get Lewis doing whatever he was going to do, loading up on a shot, just leading back. Change levels to the outside, shoot into the takedown, put him up against the fence, and even if he failed, because he got Lewis against the fence once and Lewis was able to work out of it, just keep doing that to him. You're going to get him done eventually. Just switch off to a single and pick him up and then kick out the standing leg. Like, I've seen him ragdoll people. I know he can, he knows how to take people down with more than just like a Rodolfo Vieira grab you and hope for the best. You know what I'm saying? That would have been the game plan to me. Is it just picking when he was going to do that. He not even picking when. He could have really done that at almost any point in round 1. But instead, he doesn't do anything. And then in round 2, he's like, I am going to throw the most, I am going to initiate the most telegraphed inside level change that I can possibly telegraph against the person whose obvious sole intention in this fight is to counter me with an uppercut or a knee. And then I'm going to get stiffened and dropped. Oh my God. Yeah, so that was really frustrating to watch. And Trayvon, you can, and if you watch Daniel Cormier, even though the takedown entries for Daniel Cormier were precipitated by feints and catching like the leg of Derrick Lewis and things like that as he was stepping in to throw kicks and whatnot. Even with his usual takedown meta, which I don't even like very much, because he'll like lean far out of the way and then come underneath. So he actually makes like a bit of a semi-ellipse or a semicircle around himself before he enters the clinch, which I think actually don't even like that. I think it doesn't help him against guys who just circle out of the way, a la Stipe Cormier 3. But even though he put Lewis out of position to throw like an uppercut or something, he wasn't shooting to a side where like the rear near uppercut was feasible. You know what I'm saying? So like even in the like Derrick Lewis would have had to have uppercutted across himself underneath.
I'm sorry,
jab.
quickly. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. But no, quickly, it led him to death against John Jones and like the people like Rumble because he's walking into left kicks.
Yes,
things like that.
Yes.
Or people like Rumble, they can throw over that arc and hit him. I don't know, it just popped into my head. But yes, it doesn't help him out in general. But yeah, Lewis has a good left kick, which is hilarious. But he wasn't going to throw that.
Fucking crazy jumping switch kick. But it's not. I'm not even saying that you have to do that lean thing. All I'm saying is that like even though it didn't play a direct factor in the fight, it would like you can see that the way DC enters into takedowns, he's like aware of the threat of that, at least against Lewis, right? Because he's just kind of like a very simple fighter, and he worked around it in a different way. But his head position relative to Lewis's rear hand was always like solid. You know, it's not even that. So, and you can take Lewis down. Like actually, Lewis has been taken down in most of his fights recently. So I don't know. It was just surprising to see someone who had a full training camp. I don't know. I know I felt sad for Blaydes too. It was like he just can't catch a break. But go ahead. You're up.
No, I feel sad for Blaydes too, man, because Blaydes is a pretty solid guy. And also, Blaydes seems like a guy who tries to get better. He has gotten better. He's trying to like improve and all that. But he just doesn't like. Yeah, but no, okay. So my main gripe was I think Blaydes could have won this fight without shooting a takedown at all. Like I don't think he had to shoot at all. Now Armand is right. He doesn't feel comfortable enough to strike for a full fight. He has to shoot. Like he can't. Like he doesn't feel comfortable striking. In my opinion, it doesn't look like he feels comfortable striking.
Looks like spazzy.
Like he doesn't feel comfort within. Say, I'm sorry.
He looks very spazzy.
Yes, he looks very like he's been trained to do a lot of good things. He feints. He pops in and out of range. He'll jab, throw good combinations, but he doesn't know how they stick into his game. He doesn't feel comfortable in like staying with that approach a whole fight. Mm-hmm. I think like I was talking with Armand. I said, I don't know why he's so in and out with Lewis. He's giving him like things to time. He's giving him like crashes to create. Mm-hmm. He's giving him like ability to like he's giving him like to me too much. Blaydes isn't the type of guy to do this. He's never had shown the skills. But like if he just would have methodically pressure behind a jab and some basic feints, he could have led it at will against Lewis, and like eventually probably picked up the knockout or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and then also it would help his takedown game if he just has to shoot it.
Yes.
Which I think he kind of does.
Yeah.
I think he has to shoot takedowns. I don't think he feels comfortable without grappling.
Agreed.
I think he just yes. But like, I don't think he didn't have to me. He didn't have to shoot in this fight. He shot from like a bad takedown and got himself killed when he didn't have to do that. Like he was winning the first round pretty easily. And as the fight was going on, I was laughing. I was like, Lewis is losing. But I was like, he's not out of this fight. I was like, I'm still watching. Like something could happen, and obviously something happened, and it was hilarious.
Oh
yes, but like again, yeah, like Blaydes was touching him with jabs to the body, pushing him back. Lewis was barely countering like any of his strikes because he wasn't worried about his strikes at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could have built a game that like ran Lewis down, and then also like on my end, I didn't even like Blaydes shooting because. Like I said, I don't trust him. I didn't trust him to shoot effectively, like how Armand detailed. I think he should have just walked into the clinch and smothered Lewis and then did that. And then
that would have worked too. He could have just entered in. Like, he could have during those like car crashes that he created, where there's just literally standing in, like I mentioned, in clinch range without actually clinching and just like swinging and begging, like you messaged me afterward. He literally could have grabbed the collar tie, could have grabbed an over under, and just pushed into the fence. Like he created the opportunity for him to safely enter into these exchanges that, like the grappling exchanges that he favors for himself, because he's a very powerful wrestler. But like for some reason, he was content to just flail his arms around like one of the fucking wind turbines that went out of fucking service in Houston when the thing froze. So
PTSD, man, don't talk about that. But no, yeah.
So yeah,
but
it's weird, yeah.
Yes, like
it's weird,
like. Yeah. Again, like I say, or like Armand, me and Armand agree on this. Like, and we agree about the whole process. Like, I feel like, man, like Blaydes put himself in the exact sliver of fight that was gonna make him lose. Yeah. And it's like you have so many ways to navigate this problem because the tools you have, the way how you like, again, Blaydes is trained. He looks really trained. He does a lot of like, yeah, you know what I mean. And like, he doesn't feel the comfort within those things to not revert back to the person he is. And Lewis knows the person he is, Lewis is, and he knows the person who Blaydes is. Yeah. And then so he's like, why do I have to respect anything? I don't care about I don't care. I know what you're trying to do in the big picture. And he killed him off of that.
Yeah, and so like he even said, I was just looking for the knee or the thing the whole time. I didn't care about anything else. He said it directly, like you said. I don't care about anything else.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so funny, but
it's
true, yeah.
And it's like, Blaydes, come on, man. Like, you should know this. You should understand this dynamic. You know what I mean? Like,
that shit just spilled.
You're forcing a fight, like that you're not like that he knows that you're trying to force. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like even against like JDS, when Blaydes was fighting JDS, like even though he knocked JDS the hell out, and beat, and outstruck him kind of handily, he looked so giddy and like so needing of the takedown. Yeah. And like he's like JDS has very bad uppercut mechanics, and it was easy to get him out of there.
Yeah.
But like, yes, like it just to me like it like again like. Even like somebody like Stipe, right, who's an elite heavyweight, right? Stipe understands the fight he has to fight, sticks to it, and he'll have his mistakes and things that he's not the best at. But like he like Blaydes I don't know, man. I don't think Blaydes will ever be it. It's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that he had to take a loss because like that bad of a loss, because that was a brutal knockout. Like he didn't know where he was at after the fight. He seems like a good guy. He seems like he tries to improve.
What happened? I lost. What happened? He kept asking like,
no, it's it.
What happened? He kept asking the guy like,
yes, exactly, yes.
Wait,
he was like, yeah, he was just out of there. You know what I mean? Completely out of there, and it's unfortunate. Like he put himself in the exact spaces for his demise. Yeah. When I don't think to me he didn't have to. You know what I mean? Yeah. To me he could have got it. I'm not gonna say easy. I'm looking at it from my perspective, but like on his end, he could have got himself like he could have Mark Hunted Derrick Lewis. You know what I mean? He could have done Derrick Lewis like how Mark Hunt did. But yeah, you know what I mean? But so last point for the Derrick Lewis. I want to see him versus Ngannou 2. I think that's the best fight that could possibly be made in the heavyweight division for multiple reasons. That fight is just awesome. I love it. I want to see that fight happen so bad. And Derrick Lewis, man, this man is an all-time great heavyweight.
It's crazy.
You can't dispute it. You can't. He's an all-time great heavyweight. You can't dispute it, man. Like, it's okay. It's Stipe, then it's Fedor, then it's Verdum, then it's like DC, and then you gotta put Derrick Lewis up there, man. You gotta put him somewhere. Kane, I guess, maybe. JDS, maybe. You gotta put Derrick Lewis up there, man.
Oh no, you're right. It's just weird to think about. It's like he's like ironically stumbled his way, almost by accident, into that status. It's weird. It's weird because like while I was watching the DC fight yesterday in preparation for this video, like that fight was never gonna, like I mentioned, he was never gonna win that fight. I think I feel like light heavyweight DC might have honestly, like the 205 DC might honestly had a chance in that fight. It would just because Lewis just had no takedown defense. He would just pick them up, and you know what I'm saying. And DC had like a blown out back. For that fight
he came into the fight injured.
Yeah, on like 30 days notice or something, and he just and then he like blew it out sneezing or something, and like that he always looks janky on the feet, but he looked like extra janky on the feet. Like his back was like in a bad way during that fight, and he just kind of did. And I was watching that, he actually like bullied him. Like he did the thing you always see like black belts doing like blue belts. He had like Lewis was in the turtle, and DC was just like standing with like an over under like a seatbelt grip on Derrick Lewis, and he just walked backwards. No. That was earlier. Like he was so DC had like a seatbelt grip behind Lewis as Lewis was kind of like in the turtle, and then DC just stood up and walked back and just pulled Derrick back, like very untechnically, just like a matter.
When he got his back.
No, he just threw him on the ground. I'll put a clip up, and I'm like, you don't see that shit happening.
I need the clip as well.
Yeah, like no one just does, like you just don't do that. I just do it to, like white belts. You know what I'm saying? Like bad white belts. I don't know, like yeah, it was interesting. So, but like your boy Ed Gallo was saying, against folk style riders, actually Derrick Lewis doesn't have as good of a time getting up. I think it was Josh Rochold or some wrestler who Alexei Olenek
he fought Jared Rochat twice.
Jared.
He fought him really, really early in his career, like both times, I believe. Okay, wait, not twice. He fought him once, but yeah, he beat Jared Rochat way back in his prospect days. Knocked him out. But yeah, Jared Rochat, I think he was taken down. I haven't seen the fight, so
yeah, he had a hard. I just remember the article
because Jared Rochat's a wrestler.
The article you mentioned, the motherfucker apparently have a harder time getting up from underneath him because Derrick relies on like posts and the usual jiu-jitsu get-ups, and Rosal just kept tipping him over by pulling out his like posts and things like that. But I don't even understand the tangent I'm going on here. It's crazy that he's an all-time heavyweight. It's wild to me. Anyway, I think that about wraps it up for us, right? All right.
Yeah, pretty much. Next week's card is I believe it's Gane and Rosenstruik, which it's cool, I guess. The card is really like it's like a lot of weird fights that are like kind of interesting in a funny way, like Krylov and Ankalaev. That's funny and weird.
Oh, that's happening.
Like Oliveira, yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
And like Randy Brown and Cowboy Oliveira.
Why is Nikita Krylov fighting Ankalaev?
Ankalaev?
Didn't Nikita Krylov?
Yeah, I don't know.
Fight who did Nikita Krylov just finish fighting? Anthony Smith?
No, that's did he? No, he just fought. I don't know. Krylov just beat up Johnny Walker. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at his Wikipedia.
Oh, this guy's gonna get fucked up. No, I wasn't that fight.
No, Krylov is weird though. He might. Maybe he might, but like
I don't remember what.
Yeah, see, it's a weird fight. That's what I'm talking about.
What fight was that Johnny Walker fight? Was just okay. I don't know, but I don't remember. It was so long ago. And
but no, yeah, and then like they have Randy Brown and Brazilian Cowboy, so that's pretty cool, I guess. But then like this fight is like one of the first fights on the card, but it should be the main event. Pedro Munoz and Jimmy Rivera 2.
Why is that not the?
That
why the fuck
fire.
are we watching Gane versus Rosenstruik as the main event?
Pedro Munoz and Jimmy Rivera 2. That fight is like if you guys haven't seen the first fight, that first fight is freaking awesome. And then this is their rematch. That fight's gonna be freaking awesome because Pedro Munoz and Jimmy Rivera are like elite, borderline to elite fighters. You know what I mean? They're really good.
This fight card is better than in some ways better than the pay-per-view we had last week.
Yes. In weird kind of way.
No, because Alexander Hernandez versus Moises is kind of a cool fight. Brazilian Cowboy, that's
a cool fight. Yeah, see, that's a weird cool fight. You know what I mean? Like, and then Joanny Barcelos is fighting as well. He was supposed to fight a Sunsao, but a Sunsao I think got hurt or something, or whatever, or got COVID or something.
Nikita Magomed Ankalaev.
And then Angela Hill. I like Angela Hill a lot, man. She's fighting
actually,
as well.
Her record doesn't reflect how good she is.
I like Angela Hill a lot. Yeah, so she's fighting. Yeah, this card is like, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna be interested in it, which is good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the fights to look out for, I would say on this card are definitely Pedro Munoz and Rivera. Angela Hill, if you like her, I think she's cool. Main event, whatever. I don't care who wins. Doesn't matter. Hernandez versus Moises, just because Moises has kind of done some interesting things recently. Brazilian Cowboy is always fun, and I think this. I'm most interested in Magomed Ankalaev because he's been looking really good. He had that one like fluke loss to that horrible fighter what's his name? Paul Craig.
Okay. Paul Craig.
Yeah, he lost in the last 3 seconds, which is just embarrassing.
The last second, the literal last second.
I think he tapped in the last second, right?
Yeah.
If he had just held on,
the literal last second,
held on for one more second. But that's a fun fight. I'm high on Magomed Ankalaev. Yes, because he's Dagestan from Caucasus, but not just that. Like, he represents like one of the few up and comers in light heavyweight who are actually like good or have the potential to be good, and they've built him reasonably. Like, they didn't just like give him someone hard for him off the bat. And he's a cool striker. So yeah, exciting.
No, yeah, Ankalaev. I would be surprised if he's not a title contender. You know what I mean? Like in a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he over relies on the check hook though. It's gonna get him countered, but yeah, we're going to talk way more about this next week whenever we watch it. We'll have clips up for you. We're going to continue improving the quality of our stream slowly and surely. Hope you guys liked the few animations we threw in there this week with the arrows and the things like that to try and represent stuff. I'm learning. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Love you all, and have a great one. Goodbye.